1984 by George Orwell, a great modern classic, displaying a startlingly original world and haunting novel that creates an imaginary world that is completely convincing, from the first page to the last. I chose 1984 because it follows the theme of someone is always watching you. Big Brother is always watching you, which is relevant in society today. The quote, Big Brother is always watching you, is a literal term that occurs in which the government is controlling every move you make, essentially taking away your rights. My motivation for reading a piece from 1984 is because it's incredibly relevant in society today, due to its accurate warnings regarding persuasive digital surveillance, the manipulation of truth through fake news and propaganda, and the erosion of democratic norms is being more exposed every day. For example, in the US, how propaganda is used against its own citizens and is used to create a bias against its own country. 1984 follows Winston Smith, a man who has come to the realization that what is displayed within society is not true, and that everyone around him is deceived from the truth. Totalism links to the idea of rights being taken away, hence is seen throughout the novel within a fictional society, where everyone is viewed as equal, and through the manipulation of elites, the civilians in Airstrip 1 believe it is right to have within society. Hence, I've decided to read page 13 onto 14 of 1984, as I think it is a relevant piece displaying society as a whole today. Everyone is so caught up in believing what leaders say. For context, Winston is going to a meeting to celebrate Goldstein, the leader of the elite party. He goes to not seem suspicious in any form of way, and a 2-minute speech occurs to encourage against Goldstein. However, after, anyone against the government will be called out. The reader is placed in the eyes of Winston and shows how everyone is deceived and believes everything that the leader of the elite party says. Through the imagery displayed and the emotions provoked from Winston's perspective is a perfect piece to read. In its second minute, the haze rose to a frenzy. People were leaping up and down in their places and shouting at the top of their voices in an effort to drown the maddening bleating voice that came from the screen. The little sandy-haired woman had turned bright pink, and her mouth was opening and shutting like that of landed fish. Even O'Brien's heavy face was flushed. He was sitting very straight in his chair, his powerful chest swelling and quivering as though he was standing up to assault of a wave. The dark-haired girl behind Winston had begun crying out, "Swine! Swine! Swine!" And suddenly, she picked up a heavy Newspeak dictionary and flung it at the screen. It struck Goldstein's nose and bounced off the voice. The voice continued inexorably. In a lucid moment, Winston found that he was shouting with the others and kicking his heel violently against the rung of his chair. The horrible thing about the 2 minutes hate was not about what one was obliged to of the act, but that it was impossible to avoid joining in. Within 30 seconds, any pretense was always unnecessary. A hideous ecstasy of fear and vindictiveness, a desire to kill, to torture, to smash faces in with a sledgehammer, seemed to flow through the whole group of people like an electric current, turning one even against one's will into a grimacing, screaming lunatic. And yet, the rage that one felt was an abstract one, undirect emotion which could be switched from one subject to another like the flame of a blow lamp. Thus, at one moment, Winston's hatred was not turned against Goldstein at all, but on the contrary, against Big Brother, the party, and the thought police. And at such moments, his heart went out to the lonely, derided heretic on the screen, sole guardian of truth and sanity in a world of lies, and yet the very next instant he was at one with the people about him, and all that was said of Goldstein seemed to him to be true. At that moment, his secret loathing of Big Brother changed into adoration, and Big Brother seemed to tower up, an invincible, fearless protector, standing like a rock against the hordes of Asia. And Goldstein, in spite of his isolation, his helplessness, and the doubt that hung about his very existence, seemed like some sinister enchanter, capable by the mere power of his voice, wrecking the structure of civilization.